Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Bharat and Geopolitics, where we explore the intriguing link between the geopolitics and the ancient Indian wisdom. I am thrilled to have you join us on this journey of discovery. In each episode, we delve into how timeless ancient Indian wisdom intersects with the complexities of global politics. From the role of dharma in international relations to the principles of karma and interconnectedness, we uncover the profound relevance of ancient wisdom in today's world. Get ready to be inspired and enlightened as we bridge the gap between ancient traditions and contemporary geopolitics. So sit back, relax, sorry, and let's embark on this captivating exploration together. Let me introduce you to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Adityanjee. Dr. Adityanjee is the President of Council for Strategic Affairs. So, welcome to the podcast, The Link Between Geopolitics and Ancient Indian Wisdom. Welcome, Dr. Adityanjee. Welcome to our platform once again.
Thank you, Mr. Sena. Thanks a lot for inviting me once again on your platform. I'm very pleased to be here and participate in this discussion.
So, as we know, since you have been geopolitics for a long time, and you know very well what kind of game is this. And this is very much in trending today. Around the globe, something or other keep on happening, and we know how the leaders play this game. So I am just uh, very concerned, or I say, uh, I keep on thinking what can be done in this arena by the general public to guide the people actually, how this should be managed, this geopolitics. So the very interesting topic that I have come on, this geopolitics and ancient Indian wisdom. But the geopolitics was in ancient time also, but how the people were managing this geopolitics in those days. So we are going to discuss what is the connection between the geopolitics and the ancient Indian wisdom. So my first question is how geopolitics of today and ancient Indian wisdom are linked. When I say ancient Indian wisdom, I refer to the ethical governance, interconnectedness and interdependence, environmental management, and cultural exchange. How we manage these areas in ancient times and how we are doing it today. So I would like to have Dr. Adityanji your insight on this topic actually.
I think for our viewers, it is very important to understand the idea of India. It has been a controversial topic, idea of India.
Yeah.
People have very narrow-minded focus on what is the idea of India. We have been having recent debates. Some people have gone to the extreme saying that India is not a nation. India is a subcontinent. Some of the DMK politicians from Tamil Nadu have been saying that. One of the opposition leaders said India is not a nation, India is a union of states. Yes, that is what is written in the constitution. But they really don't understand why it is written in Indian constitution that India is a union of states. But before we go into that discussion, I want people to understand that India, or I should say, Bharat, is a civilizational nation.
Yes.
Bharat has been there for thousands of years. Bharat was not born in 1947.
Yeah.
Bharat's identity is not defined by the narrow short, brief historical sojourn from 1947 to 2024. And there is more to Bharat than the constitution that has been amended more than 100 times.
Yes.
Now, I want to clarify one thing before I go to the ancient issues. This frequent citing of India as a union of state, implying thereby that India is not a nation. The constitution does not say that India is a union of sovereign state. India herself is a sovereign democratic state. That is what the constitution says. But it is a union of provinces or states that are not sovereign by themselves.
You're right.
Sovereign power lies with central government. Now, the Constitution Assembly looked at various constitutions all over the world and tried to import the best of everything over a period of 3 years from 1946 to 1949, November of 1949, when the Constitution was promulgated. It is important to say that Constituent Assembly did not call India a federation of states. And people need to understand that there is a difference between federation of states when people talk about federal structure and this and that.
Yeah.
Constituent Assembly did not deliberately use the words federation of states because states are not sovereign. States do not have right to secession. There is a central government. It's not a federal government. States cannot do everything by themselves. So it was defined in a different manner. Usually there's a unitary state or a federal state. India is neither a unitary state nor a federal state. It is a union of states. And it is the union that is the sovereign nation, not the states themselves. So this has
Yeah.
understood. But again, as I said, Constitution came, 1949, finally Republic was proclaimed on January 26, 1950. But that is just not India. That is just not Bharat. Bharat has been there for thousands of years. We are a civilizational nation defined and determined by our ethos, cultural, spiritual, religious, civilizational ethos. That is what defines Bharat. And even in the constitution, which was written by the Constituent Assembly, there were a lot of reference to Indian civilization, Indian ethos, Indian, uh, spirituality. There were reference to Bhagwan Ram, Krishna in the original copy of the Constitution. Let's be very clear about it. So the Constitutional Assembly also recognized and prefaced the Constitution of India on Bharatiya civilization.
Yeah.
And that is important to understand. The effort of any government is to keep all the people prosperous, happy, healthy. And that is what is the civilizational ethos of Bharat. We usually talk about, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, whole world is my family.
Yeah.
It does not mean that we lose our own nation. Actually, that Subhashita, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, if you know the full form, it is Ayam Nijaha, Ayam Nijaha Paroveti. This is mine, that is yours. Ayam Nijaha Paroveti Ganana Laghuchetasang. That's the counting of small hearted people. The next phrases Udar Charita Nam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yam Nijaha Paroveti Garma Lagachetasam Udar Charita Nam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is mine, that is yours, that's accounting of small minded people. For broad minded people, entire world is our family. So the material belongings that this is mine, that is yours, that is irrelevant. Everything belongs to everything. Everything belongs to everyone. That is what is our civilizational ethos. In very short subhashita, in very short shloka, it basically says that the civilizational ethos of Bharat is a welfare state that talks about welfare of everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
our constitution is basically trying to implement that. So there is a linkage between the current constitution, which is a fairly recent document, and as I said, it has been revised already more than 100 times. So yes, constitution is important, but the civilizational ethos of Bharat and existence of Bharat from ancient times and the wisdom that we have generationally acquired is very, very important, not to be scoffed about. And if we can fulfill the philosophy of ancient Bharatiya wisdom, we would not be violating the constitution in any form. In fact, we would be establishing a welfare state that was talked about for thousands of years in Bharat. Welfare
Yes.
state is not a woke concept for us. It is our concept. That word has probably, you know, acquired, digested, and re-exported to us as a Western concept. A welfare state is truly a Bharatiya concept, just like democracy is Bharatiya concept. The sooner we realize that, sooner we stop denigrating our cultural heritage and understand the true meaning of it, the earlier we will be convinced to take care of every citizen of Bharat. Because our philosophy means welfare of everybody, not leave anyone behind. There are famous suktas in Rig Veda. And what are they? Sangachadhvam, samvadadhvam, samvo manansi janatam, deva bhagam yatha purve, sanjanana upasate. May we move in harmony, speak in one voice, let our minds be in agreement, just as the ancient gods share their portion of sacrifice. Samano mantra samiti samani, samanam manah sah chittamesham, samanam mantra bhimantra evah, samanen va havisha juhomi. May our purposes be the same. May we all be of one mind. In order for such unity to form, I offer a common prayer. Samaniva akutihi, samana hridayani vaha, samanam astu mano, yatha vaha susahasati. May our intentions and aspirations be alike, so that common objective unifies us all. So we talk about unity of everyone. We don't talk about divisions. We talk about commonalities of humanity in everyone. That is what is Bharatiya ethos, and that is what defines our nation thousands of years before the current constitution was even written. And the people who wrote that constitution were influenced by the same ethos. So there is no diffidence No shame, no guilt in acknowledging our glorious ancient past and wisdom. Embrace it truly by heart so that we achieve a common goal, a common purpose of welfare of all and neglect of no one, prosperity for all and aspiration for no one. That is what is our civilizational ethos. And we have to learn to reacquire that mindset back.
I see. So I'm moving to my second question. How
Mm.
can India make the world understand the wisdom hidden in our ancient scriptures?
In,
Sorry.
in order for us to make the world understand, first we have to make ourselves understand.
Yeah, very much right.
If we are ignorant of our past, if we are ignorant of our ancient heritage, if we are ignorant of our literature, if we are ignorant of our civilizational ethos, our spiritual ethos, our moral values that were enshrined in the ancient texts, we will not be able to convince the entire world. Yes, we are
Mm,
making an effort, you know, we have made an effort for the West to understand what is yoga. So, yoga is becoming a very common, very widespread movement in the West for wellness and for total health. Yoga is being used in all branches of medicine for
mm,
mindfulness, calmness, and in fact, sometimes even to improve the survival in cancer survivors. Studies have shown that cancer survivors who practice yoga have longer lives as compared to those who don't. So, the first task is for us to understand. And for us to
right.
understand, we'll have to go back to ancient texts, read them. We cannot neglect them that, they are just some mumbo jumbo. It's not like that. All the knowledge does not accrue to us from West. We have to rediscover ourselves. Then only we can teach the West about our ancient heritage. And once they and us are on the same wavelength, they will understand the enormity of the philosophical depth of ancient Indian wisdom. So the first step should be that we need to stop denying our past beyond before 1947 and stop saying that India was founded in 1947 or India is a union of state or India is not a nation, it is a subcontinent. Yes, it is a subcontinent, but we are a civilizational nation with a very, very glorious past. We need to rediscover that past, re-assimilate and metamorphose our current status, imbibe with the past values.
So can you recommend a roadmap and who should take the lead actually for this rediscovery? The government, the society, because if it is left to the individuals, then I think the individuals are mainly very passive actually.
Well, I think the roadmap will involve redesigning our education system.
Yeah,
When I went
I
to
think.
school, you know, our ancient Indian history was never taught. A lot of things were not taught in schools. I would suggest that we teach ancient Indian history as important part of the curriculum, not the medieval history. I think there has been too much focus on teaching the school students medieval history, and there's
Yeah.
hardly any effort to teach ancient Indian history. Even if the so called oral history, that is very important. Our historical documents are there. These are written documents. Ramayana and Mahabharata are written documents. They are
Yeah.
not texts. They are part of our history, and they should be taught. And the lessons from those two epic works needs to be taught in schools. And if I may say so, although education at this point in time is a state subject in Bharat, elementary, primary, middle, and secondary school education is under state control of the states.
Yes.
But efforts have to be made to reintroduce teaching of Sanskrit because that's the vehicle by which we can go back to the enormous, the valuable treasure that is lying unclaimed. In fact, that is lying sort of ignored pejoratively
Yeah.
in a very biased mindset that everything in English is wonderful, everything in French is wonderful, everything written in Spanish is wonderful, but everything written in Sanskrit is a mumbo jumbo, religious, occult, whatever. That
Yeah.
attitude has to go. And for that attitude to go, people have to have open mind. And for them to have open mind, they need to learn the language in which that ancient literature is written and not be just, influenced by Sanskritists who are based in American universities or Western universities and giving biased interpretations of these texts. So we have to rediscover, and the only window to ancient Indian literature, history, civilizational ethos uh, is language, the language of Sanskrit. And I think it is incumbent upon all the Indian states. I'm not saying it is mandatory, but I'm saying it is incumbent upon all the Indian states, all the states in Indian Union to start teaching, start imparting the language instructions in Sanskrit from primary school onwards. Because young children are very receptive to learning languages. They can become polyglot very fast. That's
Yeah.
where the mind is growing, mind is fresh. Start teaching Sanskrit from grade one onwards in schools, in elementary schools. If some states implement it, very well, well and good. Other states don't want to do that at this juncture. That's also fine. That's up to them. They will be depriving their younger generation of the wealth of knowledge that is hidden in ancient Indian texts. So the states that are progressively minded, the states that are liberal, they will start teaching language of Sanskrit to the students from a young age so that by the time they have finished their schooling, i.e. higher secondary or senior secondary or whatever you call it, intermediate, they are well versed in Sanskrit. So for themselves, they can go back to Indian ancient texts. And if they learn, if our future generation knows Sanskrit, they will know everything. They don't need a translation from a Western professor about Ramayana or Mahabharata or Charat Samhita or Sushruta Samhita or any other, Shakuntalam or literary works of Kalidasa. Yes, we have to read Shakespeare. We cannot just read Shakespeare. We have to read Kalidasa also.
Yeah.
So I think the key to it is educational reform. And I would say in private sector, there are some schools, uh, just like Acharya Ramdev has started these schools called Acharya Kulam.
Yeah.
They've started to teach Sanskrit. That should be the model we should be adopting. In Acharya Kulam schools, they teach every modern subject: physics, chemistry, mathematics, modern mathematics, computer sciences to the students, but they also teach Sanskrit. We cannot be just one side that teach only English and not Sanskrit.
Yeah.
So, in order to bring back that, we have to make changes in our own mindset. I'll give you an example. State of Israel was created in 1948. the Jewish diaspora was dispersed all along European nations. Some of them had gone to America. They had forgotten their original language. They did not know Hebrew. They knew the languages in Europe and all, but once the state of Israel was established, they
Hmm.
started teaching Hebrew, the ancient Jewish language, so that they could get their ancient, civilizational values, their moral values, their spiritual values taught to the younger generation. And they resurrected Hebrew from a dead language, totally dead language, to a living, vibrant language. In our situation, Sanskrit has never been a dead language. It has always been a living language, but it was not taught to the masses, at least in the
Right.
last 400 or 500 years from the medieval time. And I think that is what needs to change. Everyone should be beneficiary of the wisdom and knowledge that is enshrined in the Sanskrit language literature. So we need to start teaching everyone from grade one onwards. And that would be my earnest appeal to the state governments. Whether they take it or not is up to them. We know that predictably Tamil Nadu government or Kerala government will not take this suggestion, but the other state governments need to do that and start teaching. The sooner we do that, the better would it be for Bharat as a nation, for Bharat to spread its ethical values, moral system of governance, you know, care of not just people, but care of all living beings. And that means, the plant world, the animal world, and the human care of everyone.
Even in our time now, we are studying Sanskrit in schools, but only we are supposed to secure 30 marks to get pass.
Hmm.
Whatever marks we obtained, more than 30, that were added to aggregate. Otherwise, if marks were not added to aggregate also, I didn't understand the logic behind this.
I think the logic was from Western prisms that Sanskrit is not an important thing.
Hmm.
Sanskrit does not get jobs. Sanskrit does not get you modernity. All those are outmoded notions. The world has embraced yoga with full fervor. We have International Yoga Day.
Yeah.
If world can accept yoga, why can't world accept Sanskrit? And in fact, there's much more teaching of Sanskrit in some of the Western countries. Uh,
Yeah, Germany, UK, and
yes, than in India. So why are we waiting for? What are we waiting for?
yeah,
It is my humble appeal to the chief ministers of the states, because education is a state subject in India, and the central government does not decide what is to be taught. So the states have to take the lead. And in that process, some of the forward thinking, modern thinking, those who don't want to deny their civilizational ethos, those states or their governments need to start implementing, teaching of Sanskrit from grade one onwards. And sooner it is done, the better it would be, because it will teach those values to our future generations, who will be much more cognitively, spiritually, philosophically advanced, and they will become the vehicle to teach those values to the rest of the world.
yeah. When the scientists say because Sanskrit is the most suitable language for computer programming, even in that case, the focus is not given on this language actually.
In fact, you have to realize, when the European scientists, when they formed the periodic table, they named the elements even with Latin origin in Sanskrit
Hmm.
sounding names. That was done very deliberately. When the gramophone was invented and first human voice was recorded, that was in Sanskrit. The Western scientists were giving that much of credit to Bharat and Indian wisdom, that you had all these elements of periodic table ending with M.
Yeah.
Everything was Sanskritized. So they deliberately Sanskritized. If Western scientists can do that, if Western scientists can read about Gita, Bhagavad Gita, why can't we? It's because our educational system was highly deficient. It was educational ministry was under control of people who had leftist bent of mind. Some of them were overtly communists,
Yeah.
and deliberate attempts were made to de-emphasize India's ancient history. In fact, history was written wrongly by the so-called Marxist school of historians. History was
Yeah.
distorted. So we have to correct our history, rewrite our history, and start teaching the language that gives access to the masses to the ancient Indian wisdom. And that would bring the roadmap of concept of a democratic welfare state as enshrined in Indian literature, Sanskrit literature, to the rest of the world.
So my the last two questions we have mostly answered.
Hmm.
Do you think the world will listen to India when India speaks about the ancient Indian wisdom?
Why not?
And
Question is why not? When Bharat proposed International Day of Yoga on June 21st every year in United Nations, the world listened. When
yeah,
Bharat proposed International Solar Alliance, the world listened. There are more than 100 nations that are now party to International Solar Alliance. So if we are bringing a good thing, why should the world refuse? When Bharat donated COVID vaccine to more than 100 countries under Vaccine Maitri Abhiyan, the world took
yeah,
it. If we are offering something which is to the benefit of humanity, why would the world not take it? I think it is our own sense of inferiority that we keep on self doubting ourselves, and that I'm telling you as a psychiatrist that we have been underestimating, we have been berating ourselves, we have been beating our chests that we are so inferior as compared to the Western world. This notion has to stop. This mind step has to be stopped, and there has to be a reawakening. Let me go quote Lord Yamaraja, who said to Nachiketa, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. The same words that Swami Vivekananda used in Sanskrit. Arise, awaken, find noble people and get, you know, enlightened. Prapya Varani. Find those people who have the knowledge. Find those people who know it and get enlightenment. Prapya Varani Nibodhata. So that is my appeal to the common people in India and specifically the state governments that we have to preserve our cherished treasures. And the only way we can get that is by teaching Sanskrit to one and all from grade one onwards. And yes, I am fully convinced, I don't have any doubts that if we offer this to the entire humanity, they will take it. Why should they not take it if it helps them? I gave you the examples. So, what is the second one?
second one is the last question. Can you recommend a roadmap to India to achieve this objective? how we should proceed step by step.
Well, I think I have covered pretty much everything. So,
Yeah, yeah,
rewriting the history, that in itself is a project that is part of the roadmap. Revamping our educational system is part of it, so that besides all the modern subjects, we teach Sanskrit language and we modify our curriculums in such a manner that it's not either or situation. It's not a question of that if you are just reading Sanskrit, you would not learn English. You are learning both English as well as Sanskrit, and you are studying all the modern subjects. So we have to create a new set of citizens who will be modern, but who would not be deficient in their original knowledge, our civilizational heritage. So we have to create a cadre of new citizens for a reawakened Bharat. I see the banner in your background. It says Hind Punaruttana Sangh, which
yeah,
basically means India's Indian Renaissance Organization.
yes.
Punarutthan. That is very, very important. The time for Indian Renaissance has come. It's already there. Whether we call it Renaissance for India or Punarutthan or we may say Amrit Kal, we have to go back to our roots. We have to claim what was ours. We cannot continue to deny what was ours, what was glorious, as something below standard, something inferior. We have to have self pride in our culture, in our heritage. Only then we'll be able to advance the cause of Bharat to the rest of the world. And I'm pretty sure that we have a lot to offer to the world.
So that was all the question I had on this topic for today. This is a vast topic and many things will come up. So a related topic that we'll be discussing next in the video, that is the link between, can India make the world understand the wisdom of Vedic teachings? So in part you have answered this. We'll be discussing in detail in our next video tomorrow or the whenever we feel suitable and we have time. So, so thank you, Vijay. Thank you for your time. So, as we come to the end of the another insightful episode, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our guest speaker for sharing their wisdom and expertise on the link between geopolitics and ancient Indian wisdom. We hope viewers you found today's discussion enlightening and thought provoking. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay updated on future conversations exploring similar topics, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Your support means a lot to us, and subscribing ensures you never miss an episode. Together, let's continue to uncover the timeless truths that shapes our understanding of the world. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode of The Link Between Geopolitics and Ancient Indian Wisdom. So, thank you, Dr. Adityanjee. Thank you for your time. It was
Thank you,
really
Mr.
very
Kumar, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come on your platform. I'm pleased and delighted indeed to be part of your platform. Namaskar.
thank you, sir. Namaskar.